Thanks for joining the channel here on Subscribestar. So, quick video. I mean, today in clown world, it's just how ridiculous can things get. I bet you thought you left Gamergate behind 8 years ago. Gamergate, global warming, and Istophobicism radicalized Paul Pelosi's gay lover, the illegal immigrant who might have been a male prostitute. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what is allowed on YouTube either, because they have a narrative to protect as well. So, did Gamergate radicalize Pelosi's attacker, who I'm sure everything is just as above board as they present it? I mean, it's not like that neighborhood has got hundreds of high definition security cameras, and house that size has got like 2 dozen, again, high definition security cameras, night vision on the exterior of the house. The interior's got another dozen cameras. Wealthy people or celebrities, they put the cameras on the inside too, and you think a little bit of invasion of privacy. But for them, because they're controlling the hard drive for security reasons. She's third in the line to the executive. That whether the house is occupied or not, you can't. It always has eyeballs on it, not just cameras, but like a physical, a San Francisco or Capitol Police or Secret Service or somebody has to have eyes on the house. You can't have an unoccupied house to someone who's number 3 in line to the White House. That's crazy. And then now this story is coming out like, oh yeah, the security might have lapsed. It's like, are you willing to sacrifice the Capitol Police or Secret Service security guys because the true story is worse? Thus you're willing to like say, oh, the Epstein's cameras just turned off. Oh yeah, okay, that happened in America, but his partner in France, the same thing happened over there. The cameras turned off over there too. His Epstein's buddy over in France. Weird coincidence. I mean, there's a lot of hot words for for YouTube. YouTube's getting to be a weird place. You don't notice it if you don't make videos, but when you start making videos, you look at what people are not talking about and how people phrase things, and like what big channels avoid, and all those big pop culture channels on YouTube. Man, there's just so many things they just they shy away from. It sucks. It sucks because it's like a brick under the accelerator. Anyway, so Gamergate radicalized Pelosi's attacker, or is the media lying to us? Is it possible? I hate the Antichrist. Well, at first pass, always assume the media and government is lying about everything. It will keep you in a better state of mind. They don't always lie, but they always push a narrative, and lying is absolutely on the table. I mean, how many times do you have to see? I mean, the thing is, what changed everything is in the past 20 years is for $100 you can have a cell phone in your hand that can take video. And I remember seeing the scene of this is just one example out of thousands of where CNN was recreating a scene. To push a certain narrative. And some guy is standing back there with his Samsung filming the whole thing. And so CNN publishes their version of the scene, and they publish it as a found scene. They don't say they recreated it. And this guy publishes his version of him standing back watching this director and producer essentially just create a movie, create a fiction. And it's like, oh, we're recreating the scene. Okay, that might be acceptable, but you have to tell the audience what you're doing. That's what an honest media would do. And you see the two versions side by side. And you're like, oh, media's not the media. Or the woman who's giving that lecture about don't burn down our neighborhoods. We've burned down the other neighborhoods out in the suburbs. And then the media cut that segment out. And how many examples of that kind of thing do you need to see where the media very cleverly crafts a narrative to get to the point where you're like, oh, there's nothing trustworthy in the media. You can assume they're always lying, because I mean, to destroy trust, all it takes is one example. The what was it, the Peter Jennings or the Dan Rather examples. All it takes is one example, but to put you very, very on your caution. But then 2 examples and it's over. It's like, oh, if MSNBC has 2 examples of crafting a narrative to lie, it's like you have to throw out all of them, MSNBC, and CNN has got like 50 examples. You have to throw it all out. So yeah, always assume the media is lying to you, and the government, and you're going to be in a better state of mind. So the short version is no, Gamergate from 2014 probably had nothing to do with anything. That's an insane, glowing, glowing. They're in the trees and they glow. That's a red herring. Gamergate got started because Wu, Sarkeesian, and Quinn were either blowing dudes for reviews to sell games, or they were lying about it, or they were willing to lie to cover up the women who were actually blowing dudes to get good reviews. They're grifters, and that was when feminism was big in 2014. Now nobody cares about feminism. That kind of all ended in 2016 when Trump, God Emperor, came into office. So the new push is, obviously the trans thing, and that is already kind of fading, and I'm not sure what comes after that. I have suspicions what comes after that, because it is already fading. Like everyone is suddenly on that BLT thing, and it just keeps on going. It's like BLT, all these other letters, and then plus, and then it's like, oh, I'm on there too. I identify as a two-spirit trans otherkin. Okay, are you really these things? It's like, oh, I identify as such. It's like, okay, well then now you're marginalized and oppressed. I mean, Dave Chappelle was poking fun at it too, but I mean, he's another. It's like he wasn't poking fun of it. He was poking fun at it because he was saying, oh, the spotlight's taken off me and my tribe. Yeah, but so is it possible that other tribes also have, or they also identify as marginalized and oppressed? It's like, no, their oppression's not real, but mine is. And I look at both of them and go, or maybe neither. Is that possible? Is it neither? Is it neither? Is it neither, Chappelle? Are you just an ideologue who's pushing a narrative? Maybe. Anyway, so all these people were grifters, and this was like 2014 when feminism was huge, and there was money to be made in it for them. It's like that's why they were in it, and I think I assume at the time they were making a lot of money doing it. So Gamergate was simple. Girls were allegedly bending over to get good reviews. It's like, is it the biggest deal in the world? No, not really. Did it happen? Well, the evidence is, unless you talk to the people, the principals themselves, you're never going to find out. But the evidence is the games themselves, and then you'd have to compare the games to the reviews and take a fresh look at it. And I think you're probably going to find that, yeah, these games aren't that good, but they got good reviews. What's going on with that? The thing is that they control the narrative. They control Wikipedia and all these Kotaku and all these kind of articles. And they're never going to tell you the truth. They're never going to go back and look at those games where the allegations were laid, no pun intended. So Gamergate was pretty simple, but the left wing is not going to take the loss, and that's Occam's razor. Yes, the girls were probably exchanging sex for good reviews. It's not the biggest issue. I'm sure they're in their 20s. Everyone was probably young at the time. It's just yeah, you're probably going to do that if if the thing is, you look at Quinn, Sarkeesian, and Wu, and you realize like there's no. They don't have any strong morals or ethics. They're not like, there's nothing there. They're just like, they will do or say anything to get ahead. And if it includes sleeping with game reviewers, like, yeah, that's not a deal breaker to them. All the thing is, all you had to do was like fess up, apologize, and move on. But the thing is, the truth is not the truth to them. The truth is liquid. It's the truth is crafted to suit a purpose. And like the objective truth, no, they don't care about the objective truth. It's kind of like that Terry Pratchett book, Small Gods. Anyway, so all they had to do was stop being whores. And the thing is, games cost money, right? They're not free, and people want honest reviews. And the guys, it's not these these girls are just a bunch of, they are what they are. But it's the guys who I guess they had the duty to report fairly. That's why people were reading those reviews. So really, it's their fault, and they shouldn't be reviewing games if sex with one of these girls is going to get them to lie about a review. It's kind of funny, but it's not funny to the people who wasted their money on games. They want honest reviews. That's why they're reading this stuff. But the thing is, the left wing was in a position of having to admit that Quinn, Sarkeesian, and Wu, and whoever else was involved, were a bunch of grifters, which that seems also to be Occam's razor. You look at the three of them, you realize, yeah, there's like these people would, you look at them, listen to them, you feel like they'll say or do anything. Like there's nothing you could trust about these kind of, like those are people if you met them, you would not want to stay around them. Like some people attract trouble, and you realize that these people would stab you in the back if they had to. And one guy found out the hard way. He was involved with, I think, Zoe Quinn, and he leftist mortal coil over that involvement, which sucks. So I think her kind of like, I think their time in the sun is pretty much done. But thing is, I'm sure they're still on Patreon, and like there are simps and feminists who are probably just throwing money at them. So it also seems to be the same. There seems to be some mental illness involved with those girls, and also with a lot of people who are like deeply into feminism, but it was also at the time, like 2014, that was a huge push, and it seems to be all gone now. And on the other side of the equation, the Gamergate guys are not some radical alt-right Hugo Boss forming militias. That was just an alt-left straw man. We're talking about video games. So the whole narrative was a lie from crazy feminists. And like if you weren't paying attention in 2014, it was a 2014, 2015, it was kind of the peak of just silly kind of teenage girls, and like everyone was trying to get attention, and you could get attention by being a feminist, and now you get attention by saying you're trans, furry, queer, otherkin, whatever type of thing. And already the shine is fading off that, and then the next thing is going to be some man-made horrors beyond imagination, which we're already seeing a little bit. We're seeing a little bit of it. So anyway, they lied. Yeah, they probably lied. They got caught, and then the girls continued to double down online, and then the guys were simping for these girls about being on the run from these dangerous video game players who, to make fun of them. Also, they're probably too fat to leave the couch, to eating chicken tendies and Mountain Dew type of stuff. They didn't care about these women. It was kind of like, who's that guy who will not divide us and capture the flag game? It's like people on the right are not as deeply involved in this thing as the people on the left were. But the women needed drama to get those Patreon donations, so the girls continued to lie, much like Paul Pelosi is probably lying about his gay lover. And yeah, that useful idiot, Dave DePape, he's probably going to get Epstein. So I hope it was worth it for him. Like the true story about the underline, the Pelosi thing. Oh no, you're never going to find out that. These are like, so all you got to do is release that camera footage. Why don't you show the camera footage or the body cam footage from the cops, or like the dozens of cameras in the surrounding neighborhoods? Like everyone has got Ring doorbells. That's just the first stage. And then beyond the Ring doorbells, everyone has got high definition. In this area I'm talking about, has got dozens of cameras on their house. I've got 6 just on this small little place. And these people are, they've got security unimaginable. It's like multiple high definition cameras captured this guy approaching the house, entering the house, either hopping a fence, which is one narrative, or going through the security check and being allowed in, which is the other narrative, which destroys the narrative. And then you have the cops' security camera footage. I'm sure that's going to come out any day now. But, ultimately, like, the narrative will be whatever they have to be. And if they have to throw the responding cop under the bus, or the guys who were Capitol Police, I think, were doing the security, if they have to throw those guys under the bus and, like, kind of a wink, nod, like, listen, we'll say there was a technology problem. Like, you were supposed to be watching the video and there was a tech problem. And the narrative is whatever they want it to be, because it's not just Pelosi who's very, very powerful. And the people who put her in place, and there's a lot more to it, but to put it on the video on YouTube, there's something like the compromise. There's a whole thing with compromised spouses and compromised family. And the theory is that the people who are pulling the strings, elected, not selected, not elected, will put people in office who have compromised family members so they can control them. There's a whole lot to it about, what is it, that the thing up and Occidental and the eyes wide shut type of stuff. Like you fund somebody's campaign if you already know they're compromised. You already have the honeypot Epstein Island type of footage for them, and then you fund your campaign, and then that they'll do whatever you want them to do. And the silver and the lead, right? The lead is the blackmail, but the silver is the bribery. And the silver side, for someone like Pelosi, she's worth $150 million as long as she stays in line. And everyone else, there's, like nobody in office is representing us. But that's the deeper conspiracy theory, which, I'm not a conspiracy buff, but I look at that and I go, yeah, that doesn't seem like a conspiracy theory. That seems really reasonable. Because you literally, like the Epstein Island actually happened. That's not, that sounds like a conspiracy theory, right? There's some island with the blue and white horizontal stripes on the that building. And you look at that like, yeah, that sounds like a crazy And they go, oh, no, 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 it actually happened. Here's the drone footage. And that guy, like Maxwell, Allison Nathan, just, that'll actually happen. Oh, oh. Yeah. Oh, I mean, there's a lot more to it than that, but this is, YouTube video. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe. See you guys all next episode.